Hello, 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 hello. Wherever you are on this spectacular planet called Earth, I sincerely hope you are having an amazing day, evening, or night, wherever you happen to be located on this globe. Welcome to my channel. It's definitely a blended topic today because it's dealing with nodes. I'm going to be discussing my topic today is what in the world do those little sockets mean? Haven't you been watching many node videos on blending about nodes and the person never even tell you what does the yellow socket mean? What does the gray socket mean? What does the purple bluish socket mean? They never explain that. All they do on those node channels is just connect nodes. They don't tell you. Now, I've only been dealing with nodes for about a week now. But since I'm an educator by trade, I do think on topics deeply. I've been thinking about what in the world do those node sockets mean, because I've been studying videos on them. Not one person in any video I've seen on Udemy told me. I've never seen a video on Blender. I've never seen a video on YouTube that goes into detail to say, this is what the socket color means. That's the purpose here for today. Because when you know what the socket color mean or represent, then you're on your first step to dealing with those nodes in Blender, Houdini, on and on and on. So let's jump right in. Now, I can't use the annotate tool in the node or the shader or texture editor. So I'm just going to do some writing right here. The gray. I should put, let me hit Control Z. I'm going to write the word nodes right here. Let me move, I'm going to delete my camera too. Hold on. Let me delete the camera. I need the cube for the node stuff. When I go to the node editor, I need that. I'm just going to put a category right here that say nodes. Or should I say socket? Socket. Yeah, that's better. Because nodes is the name of the whole thing. I'm just going to talk about the sockets. That's it. The gray color, which we see almost continuously, represent one value. That's all it represents. One value or one of those little slider scales or one scale. I can put that because we'll see what I mean by the scale. One of those scales. The green, that's self-explanatory. When it's green, it's dealing with one of the shaders. That's the easiest one to understand, the shader. Such as glossy. It give it glossy texture. Glass, etc. So those are pretty self-explanatory. The green shader, that's the easiest one to understand. And also the yellow, that's easy to understand. Yellow deals with, I'll put it over here, I'll make it longer. Yellow deals with color. Primarily RGB, GB, which is red, green, and blue. That's what the yellow one does. And that purple one or blue, I'll just say blue, but purple or blue, the blue one deals with vector. The actual math definition for a vector, it has direction, and it has magnitude. The easiest representation I can give you is like wind speed. The wind is traveling like this. That's the direction. And if it's traveling 70 miles an hour near hurricane speeds, that's the magnitude. But in 3D space, you can think of the magnitude as dealing with the X, Y, Z axis. So primarily 3 slots. How far it is from the X, Y, and Z, and how long is it from the origin. So these are the primary. There's other ones, but most of the time we're just going to see 1, 2, 3, 4. I haven't seen the others, but when I read online, there are other colors, but primarily these are the colors. Gray takes one value, also one value on a scale. Green is a shader, glossy, glass, etc. Yellow deals with color, which is that value is red, green, and blue. And the blue, which probably trouble a lot of people, deals with a vector. Vector has a direction and a magnitude. Like I said for my example, and this wind speed is traveling like southeast. In the real world is traveling, so that's the direction. The direction, southeast, the magnitude, 70 miles an hour. In 3D space, there's no wind speed, so it's dealing with probably from the origin of the X and Y. So that's that. So I hope you understood that. Like I said, nobody ever told me all this. I had to do the research on this stuff. Now let's go to this shader so we can work on it. And I can illustrate it more. Okay, so where my stuff at? Alright, let me go back to the layout more. Oh, I know why. I have to click on let me get rid of all that stuff because it's showing up and I see. This is the first time all them letters showing up in the shader. So let me erase this stuff. Let me go down here to annotate, choose erase, annotate, erase. Oh, why is it not erasing? Annotate. Oh, I have to choose erase. And get rid of this as quick as I can. So hang on tight. Erase all this stuff so my shader screen can look more presentable or easier for the eyes to digest. Okay, this will look nice. Don't have to be perfect. Let me click on my cube. Zap. So that's the first step. To use that shader, you have to click on your particular object. Let me go back to shader. Good, it's highlighted. Now, so I didn't forget, I added my shaders. But if you want to add, when you learn how to do with the shaders, you click on here to add and choose your particular one. Now, I discovered in my slight times dealing with it, you only really need about, let me see, one, you need the shaders, you need textures, you need color, that's 3, vector, and converter, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's really 5 main categories. See, all the other stuff, the input, it's just certain ones you need there. Because the input, that's the start one. So the main categories, shader, texture, that's the big one. The texture, that's the biggest one. Then all the other subcategories, color, vector, converter. You can ignore a script, because that's dealing with a Python script. You can ignore groups. That's when you have a complex node system. So you'll use groups when you definitely know nodes. When you have nodes all over the place, you want to put them in a group to make it easier. And layout. You'll worry about that too. Layout deals with connecting the nodes. But anyway, step 1. See, I have my nodes. I click on that little, let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see it better. I wish I had the little hand over here, but to make my nodes smaller, I click on this little triangle right here. So these small. And then if you want your nodes not to work, nobody ever told me that. Well, somebody did, but that was way back in Blender 2.76. To deactivate your node, like over here, Principal Shader, to deactivate it, you just hit M. Now see, it turned black because the Principal Shader is not working. That's a massive knowledge right there. If you want to deactivate one node or several nodes, by selecting them, you just hit the letter M. And then to reactivate it, you just hit M again. And there we go. So, when you start dealing with your nodes, you have two options to make a new material, because it's called material. It should have been called material shit, not shader. You can click right here in the material tab. It's like the little pizza with the two red pizza slices in it. You click on that and you just choose new. But I already have a material, so I don't have to worry about that. Or up here where my mouse at in this menu, you will see the word new, but I already have mine set up. So we're going to work on these one by one. The most important one that I learned in my little research and studying videos is that texture node. So right now, I'm going to hit M and activate it. I'm going to click on the little triangle so you can see it larger. There's my texture. But nothing that happened because it just has object. And you see it's a vector because it's purplish or bluish. It's a vector, so it has 3 values, but you don't know what value is going to it. All you just know is dealing with an object. And I'm not going to explain the texture coordinate, all them other ones, generated normal. That's for another day. You can go into you can click on the Blender web page for information about that. That's not my topic. Talk about all 3 of them. I just like to choose object because my cube is an object, and the object depth, that surface part. So here's a vector. It got object properties. You know, an object has several properties. Okay, good. So here we go. Next, I'm going to click on my map. I'm going to activate my map. See, but nothing happening because I don't have the textures. The textures right here where my mouse at, these are the big ones right here where I have highlighted. This is like the engine of it. This is like the engine of shading on materials. That texture. So let me expand my map. And you see vector connects to vector, and you see X, Y, Z. 3 values. Vector gonna have at least 3 or 2 values. At least 3. You see right here. Well, I'm just gonna keep it in vector though, because that makes it easier. Object. But you see, when I go to vector, it has 3 values. 0, 0, 0. 3 values. That's what a vector gonna always have. See? They never said that in them other videos. Vector got 3 values, like you see right here. Location, X, Y, Z. 3 values. It's a vector. Right down here it says rotation. 3 values. X, Y, Z. That's why it's a vector. It got 3 values. Scale. X, Y, Z. Like you might say, deal with the X, Y, Z vector. There's an X, Y, and Z in the 3 application. And that's why it's a vector. So remember, a vector gonna always have 3 values. That's step 1. Now let me click on my arena texture. I hope you can see it. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more. Because I can ignore these other ones over here now, because we've seen that. I can put them out, I can hide them out the way. Let me bring these others over a little bit more. I bring these over, hit the G key, and just grab it over some more. And I zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Let me bring this one down. Oh, I want to say, okay, but I hope you can still read it. That's still readable. So now I'm going to hit my array texture. Magnify. And you see, let me deactivate it. Let me activate it. M. vector, output. The vector has 3 values. I choose whatever one I want up from location, rotation, scale. I choose any of those 3 values, and then it will be outputted. Now when I output it, I'm going into my texture. All the texture said a vector coming in. It didn't say what it is. It just said a vector, 3 values are coming in. So I connected to that. And there. So those are my 3 values. But now it's not doing. Oh, see, now it's I have an old i7. So but you see on my figure, here's the Warone texture, Warani texture right here. I'm not gonna go deep into it. Now I'm gonna activate my next texture, which is called, I'll bring it over here, Musgrave. I expand it. And you see, when I'm done with this, I can I'll make it smaller. And smaller. I'll bring them in some more. Make it smaller. And focus on the ones that I want to talk about. Now, I have a new texture. Let me unplug it though. Hit M. Now, it has a vector input, but I didn't have no input for it because I just have it by itself. But now look at the gray values. You see scale, 1 value. Like I said, the gray, 1 scale, 1 value. The scale, 7 and 2/10. Detail, 1 value, 5.6 or 5 and 6/10. Dimensions, 0. Loose sonority, 2. That is what the gray means. You see, like each of these, scale, 1 value. Detail, 1 value. Dimensions, 1 value. Causticity, 1 value. That's the gray one. Remember that. The gray one is going to take in 1 value, and that's it. So now, my 1 value that's selected here. But remember, I can select all of these. Then it's going to be outputted, my 1 value for any of these right here. Then I'm going to send it to this mix node. Let me turn my mix node on. M. Let's see what the mix node does. Let me expand it. Okay, so it's being stubborn. Can I move? Okay, my computer. Okay, good. Expand it. Now, the mix node, you see, a gray, it's a factor. And you see what the factor is, 5/10. 1 value. But I left it alone. Now, even though you don't have it hooked up to nothing, I think it's still taking effect. Maybe, but I'm not sure. But you see a color, Varani texture. It went from a yellow to yellow, a color, RGB. And for Musgrave, now it's going from a factor. Now I can hook that. It's best to hook up color to color, but you know if nodes, you can hook up a gray to a yellow. That works too. Some of them you can hook up, but I think when it does that, it may make it a gray scale. But we're gonna see if that's true. I'm taking the 1 value because 0 is black, 1 is white, so it's 1 value. But we're gonna see if it makes it a gray scale. I took my 1 value for Musgrave texture. I sent it to this color. So I'm done with Musgrave. I can minimize it. I'm done with the mixed one. And this mixed one, as you see, is going out to a color. But the color is going into this gray one. So it's going to get smashed down to 1 value. We're going to see. Let's see. I'm done with mix. Now I can turn on my color ramp. I hit M to turn it on. But I'm going to go with some of this mix node. I'm going to turn that off right here. I'm going to hit M here. M here. And we're going to see. We got to wait a minute for my computer to catch up. The Varani texture, it should take effect in a couple minutes, I believe. See? See, there it is. That's how Varani look. Now, I changed it from black and white. You're going to see why. But that's how the Varani texture look. And with the mix node, I can combine a texture. Let me turn off my Veronic texture. Let me turn off my Musgrave texture. Let me turn this on. I hit M. I turn that on. Let's see what happened. You gotta wait a couple seconds. I said I have an old i7. Let me see. Uh-oh. Well, it's not okay, but I don't have the mix node on too, so I have to turn the mix node on. And that's how that look. You see, that looks more like a rust material. Then when I turn on the Veronic texture, it's gonna the mix node join them together. Let's wait and see what happens. They get joined together. Let me hit M here. Okay, see, it looks raw. It's a light color. Let me turn it on. But it was so light you can't see it. But the mix node, let me do with the values here. Let me turn this off. I want to turn it off. And what's my scale? That's my scale. Okay, so it don't add much to it. And you can choose these different options right here. Play around with it. You know my computer's slow, so we gotta wait. Yeah, it's not moving, so hold on. You see like that? That's the fourth dimension. 4D. I put it back on 3D. Maybe 2D. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it's more lines this time. I'm gonna leave it like that, and let's see when I turn on Musgrave, do we see any of those lines appear with the mix node M? Let's wait and see what happens. I gotta wait a couple seconds. Yeah, do you see? You see some lines? They're very faint, but the lines are coming down. That's what the mix node does. It's combine those textures. I see my little lines coming down. So, and then we go to the all-important principal shader, and I learned that the principal shader, it basically is an all-in-one for all the other shaders. There's a shader for specular. Let me see if there's a shade for the shading. Yes, it's a shade for specular. So this principal shader is like an army knife, a swift army knife. It takes the place of all the other shaders. But to have more efficiency of more power, you can get rid of the principal BSDF and add a unique shader there to give it more potency. So thank you for stopping by, my good people, my Blender family. I hope y'all got an idea, a sampling. Like I said, I only been doing it a week, but the inspiration came to me to see what each of those little sockets means. I hope I explained to you, to the best of my ability, what those sockets mean. Because as I stated earlier, rarely do I see someone explain the meaning of those sockets. Keep pushing forward like I do. I keep learning. Even though I'm an educator, even though I'm a teacher, I still learn. I still push forward. So you push forward. You don't give up. Remember, all the great 3D artists who are out there now, they all had to start from a beginning level, just like all of us. Thank you, my good people. You have a good day. Until the next time, peace.